Hey everybody. Today we're going to be talking about, maybe you're feeling like that your time is controlling you. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like your time is controlling you? Or do you feel like that you are in control of your time? So, let me know below in the chat. If you feel like that your time is controlling you and maybe you want to be able to take back control of your time, drop me a hashtag time below. And I'm Levi Hunsaker, and today we're going to be talking about time management. So, if you are joining us live, let me see if I've got the live stream up and going. Let's see. Hey, everybody. A little bit. Okay. So let's see if I can get the chat up on the side here. Awesome. Okay, so go ahead and drop me, where you're joining us from, and we'll see if we can engage and chat with you here. Hopefully this works because I'm testing out new systems. But with this new time management and stuff, I guess what I want to tell you is that it's not perfect. If you expect to be perfect, I think you are going to have some major disappointments along the way. Because, Jill told me this today that I'm not a robot. So the last few days, we had some unexpected stuff come up with our real estate investing and just had to go shift everything in our business. Chad, nice to see you on here, representing Scranton, Pennsylvania. So good to have you with us. But, unexpected things happen, and you're also not going to be perfect every single day. I even had some procrastination moments this week because I got stuck in like a mental block of content creation. And so I just had to step back and do that. And it wasn't my proudest moment, but those things are going to happen. And if I looked at the last 3 days in a vacuum, I would look and say, oh, well, I am not doing well at the things that I am focused on and trying to create and build for my business. If I looked at that just these last 2 or 3 days, I could sit and get down on myself and be negative. But if I actually take a look at the last 2 months at everything that I built and created and been working on and learning and growing, it's a very different story. So sometimes you have to take a step back and really look at the big picture. What's really happening? Well, you have emergencies sometimes. You have to be able to shift and pivot. You have to be a little bit flexible, but you also have to learn how to control your time. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is controlling your time. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, if you do not respect your own time, well, how do you expect anybody else to? So do you know where your time goes? Can you look back at the past week and know exactly what you spent your time on? Down to the 15-minute increments. So people that control their time in 15-minute increments are the most focused, are the most productive at what they're doing. So if you want to study business owners, I'd focus on the ones that, instead of blocking time by the hour or even the 30 minutes, that they're getting down to the 15-minute increments. Can you plan out your calendar, your day, to the 15-minute increments, but still leave some room for flexibility? So there's a concept in computing that once you get above like 85% utilization on a processor, you actually start getting worse performance because of all the switching back and forth in tasks and things like this. The multitasking. Well, it's not really multitasking in a computer. You just have to switch back and forth between tasks. Well, guess what? It's not really multitasking for humans either. You do not have the ability to multitask, and maybe I'm gonna shake up your world a little bit here, but I'm gonna tell you, if you think you can multitask, you better think again, because all you're doing is switching back and forth, because you cannot focus your attention on more than one thing at any given time. Your brain is just filtering out and pushing and weeding out everything else in the background, and really you have one main focus that's really on your mind. And if you're trying to split your time between two, you're probably not being very effective at either. So the second thing is, I mentioned it, blocking hours, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, is control your calendar. And this is all about being intentional with your time. When you tell your time what it needs to be doing, that's when you get to be able to actually take control of your time. So there's a couple of things with this. Be realistic. There is a reality of how much you can actually accomplish during a given period of time. And that amount, it's going to be different for everybody. Like, one of the things that I was working on is some blogs this past month, and I grossly underestimated how much time that was going to take. And so, I had to dig in and take a little more time. But one of the things that I pivoted is I said, okay, I'm gonna take another blog off of my plate, and I'm just gonna focus on the one that I'm trying to get done. And the funny thing was that Jill read through it, and she's like, oh yeah, this right here, it feels like so true to home, and I'm so glad that I took that extra time and focused on that one to really make it super authentic and vulnerable to us. And so you can check that blog out on our website there. But yeah, the second thing, besides being realistic, because sometimes we are realistic and we're kind of sandbagging it. So just make sure that you're also being aggressive. You're pushing yourself. You're stretching yourself to the limits, because you are capable of so much more a lot of the times than you give yourself credit for. So if you feel comfortable with the work that you've taken on, it might be time to level up a little bit and challenge yourself. So be realistic, but be aggressive. Like, push a little bit harder, because each time you do that, you will grow and be able to accomplish more, and you'll be more productive. And the next time you can push a little bit harder. So it's just continual progression into growth. Now, the third thing here is, once you've built your schedule right here, you've got to actually follow through on it. Take action. Now, I said I had a day where I did some procrastination. That happens from time to time. You don't want that to be the norm. And it really hadn't been the norm for me for the last month, but like, my brain, and I'm not making excuses. The reality is I didn't keep some commitments to myself, but my brain could not accomplish the task that I was looking to do in that moment. So I found some other tasks to do to try and come back to it, and for whatever reason, I just could not get into that content creation space. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit flexible, but don't give yourself an excuse either. And when you're following through on your schedule, one of my mentors gave me this trick, Melanie Donahue. Once you've got your calendar and your schedule, each day I look at tomorrow. And when I look at tomorrow, I say, okay, what do I need to accomplish tomorrow? And there might be 5 to 10 things on my list, but I'm going to pick only the top 3 things. And when I pick those top 3 things, I'm going to order them in order of priority. I'm going to say, yep, this is my number 1, this is my number 2, and this is my number 3. And I'm going to start with the number 1. I'm going to start with the very most important thing and focus on that until it's done. Make sure that you're working on your most important one thing. I actually learned, I'm trying to remember, I learned about that in the book The One Thing, and I believe it's by David Allen. I can't remember the author's name right offhand, but it's all about focusing on the very top priority. What's going to move your business forward the most, have the biggest impact in your business? Focus on that first, and then move to the next one and the next one. If you're always focusing on the most important one thing, you're going to be finding out that your time is much more effective, and that your procrastination is kind of going out the window, and that you're actually going to be able to manage your time better and accomplish more in your business. So that for me right there, that top three, that's my daily minimum. There are, whatever my top three things are, that's what I'm going to do in that day. And yeah, so those are the tips. Respect your time, control your calendar, and follow through on your schedule. And give yourself a little bit of grace. I guess that's a fourth tip, is you do not have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. When you actually get out there and get doing work, some work is better than no work. But be committed, be consistent, be creative, and take back control of your time, take back control of your schedule, and take back control of your productivity, so that you can really build the business that you're dreaming about, and to give you the time freedom, the flexibility, time with your family, service to your communities, and service to your friends and family and others. Like, all of those things will come when you are committed, consistent, and creative, and really focus and control that time and hone that in. So those are the three things, my top three things for taking back control of your time. Go ahead and drop what one thing that you're going to take and implement today, tomorrow, so that you can take back control of your time management. Now, if you want to learn more about this, we actually have an episode of our podcast, Champion Hustle. So myself and my friend Ryan have this podcast, Champion Hustle episode number 15. You can find it on all of the podcast directories, YouTube, Facebook. You can go to championhustle.com, and all the links are out there, but you can basically get a hold of that episode number 15, and we dive deep into time management, because honestly, that's probably the number one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs really suck at when they're first getting started, is time management. So dive in, learn more about that. Let us know what your favorite tips are, and have a great night, everybody.